All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How to Do Drugs. I am your host, Aaliyah Janine, and today I have two people on. I have Dan and Jay from the very first ever, right, 420 Expo. It's going to be basically a weed convention, a convention about marijuana.
A celebration of cannabis.
Very excited to go. And this is technically like the first one ever.
This is the premiere of the 420 Expo.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of years since we kind of came up with a brand new event and are rolling it all out. So we're super excited, and as I can speak for Dan and myself, and like I've said before, we have trained our entire adult lives for this moment. So we're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, I think
he's making me sound debaucherous.
I'm the debaucherous one. Dan makes sure that I don't go too far over the line. So Dan, maybe you need to like have your finger on the dump button with this interview, because shit's about to get crazy.
Oh, I'm excited. Hopefully no one gets arrested. So New Jersey, because I live in New York now, and I know that New Jersey, they have recreational. They got recreational before New York did, because of course they did. Like here in the city, we're allowed to smoke it and we're allowed to buy it, but we're not allowed to sell it yet, which I really love that for us. That's perfect. It makes so much
sense. So Jersey's like crazy. It's, it's like, well, first off, they like the term that they like to use is adult use. Okay. Not recreational, because, I don't understand.
Because it can't be fun.
Yeah. No, it's not fun.
And, just like we couldn't come out with it on actually 420, it had to be 421.
Yeah.
They were afraid of all the overdoses of marijuana. That
so
was,
many.
It is a gateway drug, according to some. So, but, it's like, Jersey, I mean, so, all right, so let me get this straight. I can, I've been a medical card holder. I live in Jersey. I've been a medical card holder for 3-4 years, 5 years, maybe. I don't even know anymore. And, it was cool because, I can go get it or whatever. But, so I'm limited as a medical card holder. I can go in and I can buy up to 3 ounces per month.
Okay.
But the law says you can have up to 6 ounces on your person. And if I go into, a dispensary that also has, so for medical, by the way, I have to declare my dispensary. So I have to go on the New Jersey Medical Marijuana, site, say which dispensary I'm going.
I declare I use cannabis.
So I'm going to Rise in Paramus, let's say, and I go into Rise in Paramus, and they have looked me up, and I'm there. But now, if I want to go right down the street, they'll tell me, okay, well, you still have 2 ounces left of your 3 ounce limit for the month. I'm like, all right, load me up. And, but I'm going to the 420 Expo this weekend. I want to get a lot of shit. So, but now I have to go down the road, so I can go down the road and, go down Route 4 and Route 17 a little bit, go into Apothecarium and go to their little snazzy drive-through they just opened for adult use.
Nice.
And I can buy, another ounce there. And then I can go down, make a U-turn and go on 17 North on the other side and go to Ascend and buy another ounce.
I think we get the point.
So, but it's just like weird how they can do it. But you can't grow in Jersey, and you don't need the card. I mean, it's just,
everybody's got theirs
everywhere, all over the place.
You know what would make it a lot easier? Federal legalization.
Wow,
can you imagine?
Concept.
Yeah,
what a concept.
Except for the fact that half of this country doesn't even really belong in the country. They're like just kind of like, we should just like lop off that side and just send them out to the ocean.
So that's because I know in New York, like because I lived in California and I had my medical card there, which was amazing. And then when I moved to New York, I would just have my weed shipped illegally from California to my apartment in New York. And I didn't realize when I first started doing that my neighbor was actually, at the time, he was the police commissioner, Ray Kelly. He lived right around the corner, the hall from me. He loved my dogs, which was very nice. But I was very nervous. So I went and I finally got my medical card. I never used it though. I don't think I even got it in the mail, to be honest. I know I'm like signed up for it, but yeah, I never actually received I never received my medical card. So like if you sign up in Jersey, if you have your medical card, do you have to tell them like each place that you're going, like the places you pick up your weed, or they just have you in the system be like, okay, so he bought weed from here and like here, but you can have 6 ounces, but you're only allowed to buy 3 ounces. So when you go to the convention center, I guess with the medical card, like you're only allowed to have like the 6 ounces, or like if you're just an adult user,
Nobody
like,
fucking knows.
Who built Stonehenge?
Yeah, no,
what makes crop circles.
and
Do
honestly,
aliens really exist?
so-
You know, I mean, it's one of those
they
things.
do. They do.
we're based out of Philadelphia, or I'm based out of Philadelphia,
Mhm.
and it's decriminalized here. So
Yeah.
at this point, it's less than a parking ticket, you know? And
Yeah.
by the way, really what it ends up being is nobody gives a fuck. Like, you know,
Yeah.
cops don't care, people don't care, you know,
Mhm.
like it's just one of those things where, you know, at this point, it's not worth the paperwork. It's not worth the hassle. You can
Yeah.
write me a $25 ticket. I'm not fucking paying it. Nobody
Yeah.
is. Nobody, you
Yeah.
know, like literally, I think they said less than like 12% of the tickets written were actually ever paid. You know, what are you
Yeah.
going to do? Like, you know, so at this point, you know, it's much like the rest of this country. It's held by the very vocal minority that holds on to this shit. And, you know, overwhelmingly, you know, the US population has said that, you know, legalizing marijuana is the right move. And yet here we are, you know,
Yeah.
and so I think that the common person doesn't give a fuck anymore. I think honestly,
Yeah.
the common cop doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like it's
They
just
really don't. I think that, I mean, still, I think alcohol, obviously, and I like to
Serious.
drink. I'm from Wisconsin, is way more dangerous.
It's funny. I have a couple of younger kids, and honestly, I'm way more terrified of them sneaking out a bottle of Jack Daniels than sneaking out a joint, you know, and I let all of my bad life decisions came off of alcohol. Like I never smoked a joint and was like, yo, I'm going to rip that shit down. You know,
Right?
like it just doesn't
You never hear about somebody, I got so angry and fucking pissed off that I went into a fucking crazy rage and got into a bar fight, you know, because I was high.
Because I was super stoned. Yeah, no, what you're going to do is that you're going to get a bunch of junk food.
Exactly.
And like,
Been there,
and maybe
done that.
have a pity party for yourself, if anything, but you're not going to go out
1,000%.
go out
So
and
with Jersey,
destroy
with Jersey, with the medical laws, like I said, is like, you know, you declare your dispensary, you know, where you're going to go, and they limit you up to 3 ounces or whatever at a time that you can buy, or in a month. But, you know, you could literally go to every like recreational adult use, you know, dispensary in the state and just buy an ounce from every one of them. They don't really track it. Like when we went out, so we do, you know, we also do the show.
It's like buying cough medicine to make crystal meth.
Got it.
Or so he hears. But no, it's, you know, so we do Exotica also, and that's one of the, you know, we're trade show producers, you know, we're not druggies, we're not pornographers.
No, we're a little of those too.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, speak for yourself, Dan.
Yeah, this is definitely not the NJ Biz interview, but
no, that's why I was so excited for it. I'm like, dude, we've been doing these interviews where we're like, let me tell you about the history of the fur. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I
talk
already
about
know
drugs.
the history of Exotica.
I'd much rather talk about drugs.
Yeah, so we did. So, you know, years ago, I can't remember what year it was, but you know, Jay's there like, oh, we should do a show in Denver, man. It'll be like this big party, you know, because Denver was one of the only recreational states at that point. And, you know, and all these people fly in, and we're going to take over this hotel that's connected to the convention center. And, you know, and we'll have like a big party, and we'll have all these dispensaries buying booze, and everybody will be high as fuck at this thing. And we get out there, and it's like, okay, yeah, we meet with a dispensary. Yeah, no, we can't come in and sell weed at the thing. Like, you know, same thing with 420. You can't sell weed at the actual convention. There's no THC sales there. But, you know, then it gets into the point where like, you can't even, like the hotel starts telling us when we're having our meeting with them, yeah, people can't even smoke here in their rooms or even outside. I'm like, what? You know, and then you can't advertise, you know, the dispensaries are telling us you can't advertise on like billboards or radio because you have to prove that like 85% of your market is, you know, over the age of 21. So, you know, but Jersey's like a totally different state. So
like you're allowed,
Jersey,
are people allowed, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are people allowed to smoke in there and stuff?
No, you can't smoke indoors. So like Jersey, the same thing is like anywhere you can smoke cigarettes, which more people smoke cannabis, by the way, for the first time than they smoke cigarettes.
Nice.
The study just came out. But you know, you could, wherever you could smoke cigarettes, you could smoke
weed.
You could smoke cannabis. So, and you know, it's with this show, you know, where, you know, we sat down with, you know, the powers that be in the town of Edison.
Mhm.
And
Not just the
said,
powers,
okay,
the
so-
police and the fire and the health department and the,
Oh, wow,
everybody else.
all of
Yeah,
them.
no, it's
Yeah, so we're in this conference room, and so okay, well, so like legally, you're allowed to carry up to 6 ounces. We don't recommend anybody bring 6 ounces of weed to the event. Jay, you can mute Jay now. Dump button. But I mean, you know, but you could go outside, and we have a whole smoking area.
Mhm.
You can't smoke in the building. You can't vape in the building because that's illegal. You can't smoke or vape.
That makes sense. Yeah.
you could bring 18 ounces in over the course of 3 days. Think about that.
Wow.
Okay.
So like the vendors and stuff like that could bring
That-
because
well,
there's
I mean, you
Yeah.
know, you
Aaliyah, I got a VIP ticket for you if you could just get rid of him for a little bit.
I could take
But,
him
I
down
mean-
to New York, Jay.
there you go.
But you know, so you know, we have that, you know, so at the show itself, I mean, you know, so we have this outdoor smoking section,
Mhm.
and you know, you can smoke cigarettes out there, you can smoke weed out there.
Nice.
You know, we'll have music out there. We got like close to like 10 food trucks because, you know, when you
Obviously.
smoke weed, you get fucking hungry. At least I do.
One is
You know,
called
and-
Your Sister's Balls.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, they sell rice balls.
Yeah.
So, and you know, and inside, you know, we have like vendors, and you know, we'll have the guys, you know, we have some dispensaries there, you know, just you know, basically, hey, come buy your weed from us, you know, when you get out of here, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And you know, we have guys, you know, selling, you know, pipes and paper, you know, we have rolling paper companies, and
Mhm.
you know, we have glass blowing there. So, you know, we have actually Jerome Baker,
Okay.
you know, the godfather of glass blowing, from what I
Mhm.
hear. Jay's more-
Like, I know who he is, so yeah, I
glass
was like, I
blower
know
of
that
the
name.
very first bong that I bought when I went away to college. 1996, I go away to school. I have, you know, I'm like a poor college kid, whatever. I
Mhm.
scrounged up the money to buy a 2-foot hand-blown glass bong and bought this like Jerome Baker, beautiful fucking piece. I lived with that thing strapped around my shoulder for like a year and a half until it died and went to heaven. But like, now fast forward however many years it's been to like being on the phone with Jason from Jerome Baker, I totally fanboyed. It was like
A little bit, yeah.
By
Dan
the
was
way,
picking on
he's
me.
not good at math. It's 26 years.
Yeah, no, I just didn't really want to stress like how
No,
long ago
no.
that was. But yeah, like, you know, all of a sudden you start, you know, dealing with some of these folks that like you've known or heard about or bought products from over the course of the years. And it's, you know, it's not the like major celebrity that I fanboy over. It's the one that like lived on my shoulder for a year and a half through
Right.
college. So,
Like the
and by the way,
underground.
he's blowing us a glass piece for the office. So
Oh,
I'm
that's awesome.
even that much more excited.
I know you guys have
The
a
Office.
Tommy Chong, the office. I
Yeah,
know you guys
speaking
have
of, yeah.
Tommy Chong there. I'm very excited. I had him on the show a couple of months ago. He's amazing. I'm excited. to
Dude,
see him
I'm
again.
so excited for that. And
Mhm.
like Jay and I were talking, and it's like, you know, because you know, obviously, you know, we're booking the show, you know,
Mhm.
you know, who's on the Mount Rushmore of weed, and it's like, you know, Cheech and Chong, Willie
Mhm.
Nelson, Snoop. You know, we got Tommy. He was actually the first one we really went over because we knew we couldn't afford Snoop. Willie's
Yeah.
too old to smoke
That's
weed
fair.
anymore.
Next year, Dan.
And-
Next year.
Next year. But you know, so when we talked to Tommy, you know, and like, you know, absolutely, and I'm like talking to Jay, it's like, well, you know, we're kind of paying him a fuckload of money to come. But it's kind of cool though, you know, like, you know, it's like when you're on Instagram and says, you know, do you accept this request, a follower or a message from Cheech and Chong? Like, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But then Jay and I start talking. It's like, Jay, you know what the one thing with this thing is? And this is before the tickets really, you know, the tickets had just gone on sale kind of, and before we announced Tommy,
Mhm.
you know, and obviously that was a big boost of ticket sales. I'm going to Jay. It's like, you know, like, dude, fucking, I don't care if this thing's fucking, we lose a shit ton of money. We're getting high with fucking Tommy
For
Chong,
Tommy
no,
Chong,
yeah,
right?
you know, and Rob Van Dam, you know, and all these, you know, and then the whole fucking cool thing with this thing was, and so I'm cursing a lot because I haven't been able to curse on an interview in a while.
Oh, let it out, baby. Let it out.
Fuck shit, cockballs.
But you know, so we're talking, and it's like, well, if I want to get high with Tommy Chong and you want to get high with Tommy Chong, how many other people want to get high with Tommy Chong? Hey, you know, Tommy, would you be open to having like a like a stoner sesh, smoking sesh with like some lucky fans, whatever. He's there. Love that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So we have, and call up Rob. I'm like, RVD, because I can call him RVD. And,
he fanboy over RVD as
Rob.
much as I did over Jerome Baker. I just want to throw. I want to throw that out there.
Totally not. He's a cool guy though.
Yeah,
totally not. And
we're bros.
And Rob, would you be open to getting like high with like some fans or whatever? He's like, yeah. So we have like these VIP bucket list like smoking sessions that just went on sale. So go to 420.com, 420expo.com/tickets to buy them. But for like an intimate group, like limited, and when we say limited,
6.
I mean, we're talking like right around like a handful, or so. People.
Yeah, like a good smoke sesh. You don't want more than like
where they're
5,
going to go
6
out, they're going to get in a circle, they're going to light up with these guys, either guy, whoever they go with, take a little picture, to
commemorate
get the event in memory.
Yeah, because they'll be too high to remember.
Exactly.
Where people won't, like, I got high once. I used to work in the music industry. I got high once in the lounge of a recording studio and here was my smoking circle. Well, the band I was working with was his band Law and Order at the time. They were like a New York rock act in the 90s, late 90s. Okay. And I'm getting like high, so I'm there with like one of the guys from the band, and Mick Fleetwood, Tone Loc, and Eddie Money.
Shut up.
Eddie Money was just wearing socks. Eddie Money, God rest his soul, he's dead.
R.I.P. Eddie.
R.I.P. Eddie.
Yeah, and it's just like this is fucking cool, But I didn't take pictures of it. You didn't have like like really cell phones. Well, not real cell phones back then. They were just big. And I'm like sitting there like nobody's gonna.
You can make so many age jokes.
And then Jay just happy birthday, Jay, who just turned 44.
I turned 44 in November.
Damn, there you go. See, younger middle age.
No, it's middle age.
No, it's younger.
You're in your mid 40s now.
We have another year for that. Settle down.
No, we have another 6 years. 50 is the dividing line. 50 to 60 is upper middle age, like my friend Dan over here.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before I was so rudely interrupted, there was no phones to really take pictures of that. And fast forward, by the way, when we were doing Exotica Portland, years later or whatever, we had Tone Loc there. We booked him to perform at the event. And I'm like, dude, you may or may not remember this, but we were in Cherokee Studios in West Hollywood, and I got high with you. And and Mick Fleetwood and fucking Eddie Money. and I'm like, absolutely. So you do remember? He's there, yeah. I said I had a little bit more hair there. I didn't meet Jay yet, and I didn't know Greg.
That's always been my thing. Is like out of all the things I've done, I've always loved it when I was able to smoke weed with like certain people. Like I used to go to a lot of concerts, so like different bands. There was one time. At the strip club I used to work at in Wisconsin called Silk Exotic, and they had Tommy Lee there. They would, for their anniversary parties, they always had like some big name celebrity, and I remember Tommy Lee was there one year, and I was actually moving to Florida, so I'm still in Wisconsin, but I had, because it's Tommy Lee, so I went and I picked up all of the drugs. I picked up, so I got some coke, I got some blow.
I'm going to cover the bases.
I'm going to cover all the bases. I'm like, because I want to party with Tommy Lee. Out of all the rock stars, out of all like the celebrities that I have partied with, I'm like, I want to fucking party with Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee's there, and we're hanging out down in like the dressing room or whatever, the featured dressing room. He didn't want, like, he sounded like he was going to, he was drinking. I think he was like trying to like be sober or something like that. And he didn't
in between drinks, he was trying to be sober.
Drinks. And we were going to go to like the hotel or something like that. But yeah, he didn't want anything. And I felt like I out partied Tommy Lee a little bit in that situation.
That's a good claim to fame.
Yeah, and I was like, Tommy Lee didn't even want to party, yo. I was a little disappointed.
Tommy Lee's lame. He couldn't even keep up with me.
Yeah, that's what I said for a little while. Sorry, Tommy. I'm sure you could probably beat me.
So my celebrity interaction of smoking weed was I was at a Fish show one time, and we're down like on the floor or whatever in between sets. And, you know, we're fully in whatever far off planet, you know, we're at. So light up a joint, group of friends, start handing it around. I hand it to my right, and it's Fred Savage from Wonder Years. And I'm like, what the fuck is like, and I just kind of like had to play it cool because I was like, am I like tripping that hard? You know, like, what planet am I on? And every time it came around, I like handed it to him, and I just kind of like looked over. And it's funny because when I was a little kid, I looked exactly like Fred Savage from Wonder Years age. And so I really just thought
like
that
Tom Cruise now.
I thought it wasn't true, or thought whatever I was doing was like,
you thought you were just real high. That's
I'm like, no, that dude looks like Fred Savage. Then come to find out, Fred Savage is a Fish fan and was there.
I consider Jay like my hetero life mate, my like, you know, BFF kind of thing. And in 16, 17 years that we've been buddies, that's the first time I've ever heard about him smoking high with Fred Savage.
Really?
Yeah, you never told that story before.
Wow. Let me tell you about the limo.
And I thought I heard every fucking story that you did. No, like most of the stories he tells, I could actually repeat verbatim. I could sit here and as he's talking, like
same by the way. It's not. This isn't a one-way street.
Oh, you guys are hetero.
Yeah, no.
Yes, we are. We totally are. We've been in too many meetings together where we've been pitching people, and it's like, yeah, we got our canned answers and all that.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
or say like interviews for like the 420 Expo where you're just like, yeah, let me tell you about everything that we got going on. You know, it's
Well, what do you guys have going on there? We might as well get that out of the way.
It's a trade show. No, I'm just kidding. It's so we've been doing Exotica, right, for 17 years now. And we've, you know, watched it kind of grow into this beast that it is now. And we've been in over a dozen different cities throughout the country. And we are on we're through 47 Exotica events. So, you know, we've always kept an eye on the cannabis space. I mean, both, you know, professionally and personally. And, you know, as it obviously started to become, you know, more on the forefront of legalization, certainly on the East Coast, you know, we knew that there was that crossover to it. And obviously, you know, live events and consumer events like what we do are, you know, the logistical process is the same. Doesn't matter what type of show it is, what type of, you know, what type of topic it's on. And so this is the first time in that 17 years that we've kind of we've invented this new kind of beast. And it's great because you know, when I first started Exotica back in 2006, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I mean, it literally was like, it was a shit show. My head of security was my high school buddy, and like my parents were running the VIP or were running the box office and like exhibitor check-in. And so, and yet it worked, right? I mean, it took a while to figure out and get it working. So what's nice now is starting 420 with that process and with the team and with the group that we have and everything that we do. So instead of spending half of your time trying to figure out how the fuck you check people in or sell tickets, that shit's, we know that, you know, so now we've been able to really stay focused on, you know, what the event is and how we want to create it and what we want to do with it. And it really, you know, it is a full-blown celebration of cannabis. You know, weed is the star. It is, you know, a 3-day event, open to the general public, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 16th to the 18th. And very similar to like what you would see at Exotica, where you have a live entertainment stage that runs throughout the 3 days. You have a seminar series that runs throughout. You have an entire show floor of vendors, both in and out of the cannabis space. But with the added addition of this on-site smoking area, you know, wrapped around with food trucks, you know, it's really for anybody who is from, you know, one side of it being like kind of cannabis curious to the other side of being super entrenched in the cannabis space. You know, it really just gives everybody the opportunity to come out into a public space of like-minded people. Sound like Exotica, and you know, and be able to celebrate, you know, what you're interested in. And so that's, you know, that's really the foundation.
The cool thing with it, Leah, was that like, you know, when we were putting together, you know, what's, you know, the bones of the show were like pretty much basically the same, you know, as any consumer-based, you know, trade show. You know, you're going to have your exhibitors, you're going to have your seminar, you know, education programming, whatever the hell you want to call it, and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, we have like all right, so but we have like a VIP lounge or whatever, and in the VIP lounge is, there's, music, like a little stage in there. So we have like, some acoustic and, some duos and trios. And I think we have a fucking magician in there. We have a comedian in there. We have a tap dancer on our main stage, and we have
got it all.
aerial artists and vaudeville, and and we have live interview and Q&As with RVD and Tommy up on the stage, and game shows, a rolling contest. So, but
I
then we
like
started
the idea of a
thinking
rolling contest. That's actually, I can't roll for
hopefully our
We've-
championship. I ordered a dope championship belt for it. I hope it gets here on time.
That's hilarious. I love it. I would never win that. I'm the worst joint roller ever.
But but like we started thinking like, okay, we started talking. It's like, and the cool thing with it is like, look, we don't take ourselves way too serious at all.
Yeah.
Like Jay said, we did another interview, and Jay said we're like mullets, we're business in the front, party in the back, kind of thing.
I like it.
But I know that's
no, really, I'd never said that before, and as soon as I said it, I was like.
But we've had like we've had calls like when we've done Exotica, and and it's kind of funny because we were probably high when we did it. Was we said, what could we do? Like Exotica, like, dude, why don't we get a mechanical bull? Why don't we have a mechanical penis? Well, can somebody make such a thing? So we actually got on the phone and recorded the call, which Jay still has somewhere, of us talking to this guy that made mechanical bulls. That we saw he also made like dolphins.
You find him online. And you see the dolphin,
and
but the hard part was the conversation, like, because
yeah,
it wasn't hard at all. But
like, how do you bring up a penis?
Yeah,
no, so I eased into it. I'm like, all right, so let me guess here. So
I mean, that's the way you do it normally, is ease in.
Yeah,
we ease it in, and
you don't just go in hard and dry.
So you make like mechanical bulls, so you can make anything. I saw you on there. You got a dolphin. He's like, yeah, I can do that. And I said, what else have you made? He's like, I made like a dragon, or I made this or that. I said, so you can make anything of it. Yeah. So like if I wanted to have like, a greyhound, you can make a greyhound. Yeah. What about a penis?
Like, and not just any penis. We need this thing. Like, we want a head on this thing.
No, that's what Jay's there. Like, well, can you make it like
veins
veiny and and circumcised and all this?
Because once you get
this thing, by the way, and it was way too lifelike looking and disgusting that we actually had it painted bright pink.
So it didn't look so real.
Let me tell you, trying to find union guys to set this thing up, not an easy process. Like, because every one of them is afraid, they're terrified of like somebody snapping a photo. That,
or they'll be gay from touching it.
So what's interesting was
it the weenus.
We also have with Exotica, we have a dildo teeter totter, right? It's a teeter totter. It's got dildos built into it.
I've been on the dildo.
Okay, and so this is the perfect example of it. Like when the union guys would unload the trucks or whatever, they put garbage cans over the dildos, so like you couldn't actually see them while they were carrying them out. And I assumed that it was like some type of like homophobia type of thing, right? But I came to learn that it was solely because of camera phones. And these guys, so what happened in our warehouse was we had to have the dildos replaced one time, right? And so one of the dudes is in the back screwing in this dildo into the the teeter totter, and somebody snapped a photo of it, which of course there's a sign shop in said in said warehouse. So that photo soon became 6 feet big and hung on the wall, with this dude the most vicious hand job to a dildo on a teeter totter he's ever seen. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, like, I think it's less about the homophobia side of it, although I'm sure there's a little bit, but it's more about the, being caught in a compromising position by your coworkers.
Yeah.
Before we went off on Jay's tangent about,
we were talking about a mechanical penis, so I don't think we were that far.
But just talking about like, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We always try and have fun with this. So with Exotica, with whatever. I mean, we've done stupid shit. We've spent money on even dumber shit. And so we started thinking like, all right, when we get high, what do you want to do? What are identify what are the top 5 things you want to do? And everybody's like, well, everybody wants to fuck. I mean, so we can't really do that in public, but you want to listen to music, you want
music, TV, eat, fuck,
eat, buy stupid shit, spend money on things. I've got God knows how many things I bought off Amazon and all that when I was high.
Oh God, yeah, no,
I just actually I bought an Invicta watch the other day because I was high, because I'm like flipping through the channels and they have that Invicta watch channel where they're just selling watches like 24/7.
What?
Dude, and I bought a giant freaking watch. This thing weighs like 10 pounds.
Must be a Jersey thing.
It's huge, dude. It's huge. No, it's fucking, our guys, a bunch of our guys that work for us wear them too. But anyway, I digress. So like, what do we can do? So like, when we started looking for exhibitors or whatever, right? So you're going to get your obligatory, dispensaries hawking their stuff, or glass blowing, or pipes, or rolling papers, CBD, Delta 8, all that stuff, that you can sell. But, all right, let's get some guys that do some funny T-shirts. I said, dude, I'm watching the news the other night, and there was this guy on there, and he has this thing, really bad portraits. And he sets up in the parks in New York, and for like $5, he'll draw like the worst portrait of you ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad. It's
and there's
good.
Pictures of people with this thing. Yeah. And I'm like, I take a picture of, this, I pause the screen and I the DVR, and I take a picture of the screen on the news, and I'm like, I'm going to hit up this guy for the 420 Expo. Now, granted, I was high when I did it, and I didn't realize until I'm going through my pictures like a month and a half later that, oh shit, I never hit up this guy, whatever. And I hit up this guy, and I'm like, let me guess, you smoke weed, don't you? And he's there, yeah. I said, have I got the show for you? I'm like, so we got this guy coming, and he's doing really bad portraits, and we have like axe throwing, like they're setting up like axe throwing in the place. Then I'm like talking to a guy that we know, he's done some stuff with us, and he has like all these cool movie cars. Like if you ever saw the movie Arthur or whatever, when at the end of it, not the Dudley Moore one, the one with
I've seen both of them.
Brand.
Yeah, Russell.
Yeah,
Brand.
and all the cars, he has all the cars for the movies. Well, anyway, he's got like the Mystery Machine, and he's got the Flintstones mobile. So, like, how cool would it be to fucking take a picture with a giant Scooby-Doo or something in front of the Mystery Machine?
Look at it. There you go. Perfect timing.
I used to.
So we got to create. Speaking of, you can't roll. We got this guy. He does creative rolling. This guy Brian, and I came across his shit. And.
Or they like combined and make like fucking shit and.
Dude, it's
if I can show you the picture, I don't have it. He made an actual like functional joint. It won like best in show or something at the Raw Creative Rolling Contest. He made a giant, like, it's probably like yo big, smokable Mystery Machine that he uses Juicy J's papers and cuts out the colors of the thing. So it's not, nothing's painted. It's like, it took him like 200 hours to make this thing. This thing, and it's like filled with like it's filled probably with like,
I don't have the weed budget for that.
CBD in it, but like, it's filled with like, like 8 ounces of CBD or something. So he's going to be there, selling like some of these things. He's got like Angry Birds and shit like that.
You smoke that shit,
he's making a 420 Expo.
Kids growing pains. Like the next 4 generations of your family will have no body pains at all.
So we got him there, and there's like so much like like cool like little vendors and stuff, like just selling like that you're gonna walk around and and people watch and check out stuff, and
big on the people watching at those
extreme people watching. That's what I like to call it.
Exotica was always like a big people watching thing for me. Like for me, I didn't really like even at AVN, like the signing stuff. I never really wanted to meet a lot of my fans because you guys get it. Been there a lot. So I remember at Exotica, the first fan that came up to me, he had a very Jeffrey Dahmer-esque like look to him. He had like those serial killer glasses. He had a pocket protector.
The like 1985, like metal frame.
The standard serial killer glasses.
Yeah, like I've had these glasses for the last 17 years.
Yeah, that he wore, and he handed me this 15-page script of how he wanted me to be hypnotized, raped, and then murdered. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't meet my fans. Never ever meet my fans. So I think that was like the
maybe I went into the wrong profession. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely was in the wrong.
It made me second guess my entire life path.
I was like, that's interesting. What about edibles? Do you guys have like people like edible like little stands, or is that even legal?
There's no THC sales. We can counter that with the 6 ounces of cannabis that you walk in with. But there's you think about it, it kind of makes sense. It's like with Exotica, we can't sell a booth to a liquor store and have them pop up and start selling bottles of Grey Goose off the show floor. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I mean, Not that half of the people don't try and smuggle it in
I would no, I
anyways.
was
Yeah.
definitely wasted a couple one right there.
Yeah, I think mostly. I honestly go home with more booze that gets confiscated from those shows than like, we know what to do with. So it's I'm still drinking Grey Goose, I think, from like an Exotica after party circa 2015.
That's hilarious. Yeah, because my one of my buddies, she's Baked by Lori. She makes some really, really good like edibles, like gluten-free. I may bring her to walk around just so
You
she can
should.
see it and stuff. She's great. Yeah.
It's it's awesome how again, like talking about how we've trained for this our whole lives. Like you think about it, when we were kids, it was like, okay, you got pulled over with a roach in your glove box or in your ashtray, and your parents were picking you up at jail, which is crazy. But the thing that I really love about it, and goes back to like when we first did our Denver show, also back then was like you waited for your weed guy who was an hour to 3 hours late every single time. He walked in the front door. He thought of a name of whatever the fucking weed was that he had in his pocket, like off the top. He's like, it's California skunk, icky, sticky.
I've never even
nugget,
heard of
whatever.
like weed having names before.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, dude.
I didn't know the difference between. I didn't sativa.
You took what your weed guy gave you.
Yeah, whatever you got.
Give me a fucking. Give me a dime bag. Here's a 10 spot.
The first time we walked into a dispensary in Denver, you walk up and you have the bud tender there, and like they have jars and flour and everything. And their first question is like, so what do you want to get out of cannabis? And I'm like, nobody's ever asked me that question. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? What I want to get high? He's like, yeah, but are you a get up and go morning kind of, daily day smoker? Are you a, end of the day, go to sleep, put you in the couch type of deal? I like to refer to it as breakfast weed and dinner weed. And I never had somebody actually pose that question. And then you can, drill down even further if you want to. It's like, okay, cool. Like you're a sativa kind of guy. Like, what your body high, head high, this, that, THC count, and it baffles me that people don't realize how much better off we are with an educated consumer buying this shit than it does for you buying it off of like your random, street corner dude. I mean, like at the end of the day, the cannabis industry is a fucking multi-billion-dollar a year industry, whether it's legal or not. That shit is there.
It's never going to change. Yeah, that's never changing.
So why not? I mean, by the way, talk about like the similarities that you have to Exotica and sex work and all of that stuff. It's like there's some real basic shit, man. Where like it's like, hey, an educated public who can legally do these things is so much better off than that, like, God told you not to smoke pot. And
the education of it all, knowing, like actually knowing the benefits of it and everything like that is so much more important. Even now with sex work, especially I love with the OnlyFans things. And I love to call girls that have OnlyFans who've never done actual real sex work Dollar Tree whores.
Right. So it was interesting. I was in Amsterdam like a month ago, and I'd never been there before. And forever you always hear about like, oh yeah, you can like smoke weed everywhere, and like there's the red light district, and there's this,
Yeah.
And that was, years ago before recreational really started kicking in this country. But it was interesting going over there, and I had to like Google search like what coffee shop I could roll into to get, because it's totally nondescript, and there's a difference. Like when it's woven into the fabric of society and it's normalized and legalized, it doesn't make people do it more. It makes people do it less. And so
because they're like, oh, I have this, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
Kids that can, have a drink at 16 with their parents at dinner aren't the ones that like are shotgunning beers at 12, so it really is, it really was interesting to see. And it just, both with the red light district and with, cannabis in general in Amsterdam, it's like, you roll in, you don't notice anything. Whereas in the United States, it's like we have neon signs lit up, like buy cannabis here, dudes are smoking blunts that are like the size of their forearm, you know, and it's just like, it makes no fucking sense, you know, it just
capitalism.
Yeah, that's very, very
The
true.
cool thing is though, is like, here we are, it's 2022, and back in like, again, like the late 90s, I remember going over to Amsterdam with a band and something, and I'm like, this is the fucking greatest thing ever. But now it's like, here it is, 2022, and not only can we go by down the road kind of thing, not get arrested for that roach or anything, but we can, we're having a fucking convention.
Yeah,
About
this shit's
cannabis,
this shit's gonna be crazy,
and we're gonna be joined by 15,000 or more, because like tickets are selling like crazy right now, of our of our friends or whatever. They're doing the same thing, like celebrating cannabis. So I mean, it's such a cool time to be alive now. It really is.
Yeah. Well,
everybody
to see the
everybody bitches
transition.
with COVID and all that shit, but
Yeah.
I mean, and everything in the world going to fucking hell in a handbasket, but we can get high, and we can do it legally, and we can do it legally. Yeah, and and it's like, and we have like, and on the serious note, like, we have like, we have like over 20 seminars going on, and we have stuff for like the Can of Curious, like again, like we have like one like Cannabis 101, newbies and doobies, or like what do you use, paper, pipe, bong,
wax
vape,
and oils,
whatever
and a bunch
it
of
is,
educational
wax
stuff.
and oils and all that stuff,
and
but
stuff like that. Yeah.
which again, back then, being as old as Jay likes to make me out to be, I remember it's just like you were just happy to get like a little Ziploc bag.
Hemp was still
$10,
legal,
right?
$10 or something. Yeah, we were making flags out of it and having people sew them and clothes.
The Betsy Ross house is like right down the street from me.
Exactly.
So,
she made me a serape or something like that too. But but it's just like
he just called her old Betsy.
Yeah, Bet.
Good old Bets.
It'd be, but I mean, the whole thing is like, that's it's cool with the but we also have things on like movies or whatever to watch, and but we have like like really, really cool stuff like medical marijuana patient perspectives, where people telling their stories how they had cancer or whatever, and rather than the million opioids that everybody was trying to pump them up with or whatever, they started using medical marijuana. And we have a seminar, I think it's on Sunday, of how cannabis and recovery, how people say it's a gateway drug, but these people like use this and are telling their story of how they got off of meth, or how they got off of heroin, or
just pills like prescribed by their by their doctors. That's
like I had a serious accident, fucking Jesus, like 9 years ago, and like major spinal surgery like 6 years ago, and it was like, the amount of opioids that the doctors were prescribing. I mean, I had bottles of the shit. Like if I wanted to, I could have probably, bought my house out with the shit I could have sold the stuff for in the street, and I never took them. I have, the time they were young kids, single dad.
You still have those?
You still have some?
Nah, I turned them in, but I didn't honestly use them because I didn't want to be like,
I turned them in for you, Dad.
That shit.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would.
I get that.
I didn't want to be all doped up. I mean, look, you never heard of somebody, I mean, look, I don't drink and drive. I don't fucking smoke and drive. I'm kind of real responsible in that way. God bless me. But the saint that
older,
I am,
I think.
because I'm older. See, now you're fucking starting with this shit. Fuck you both.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
You know who's closer to my age? Our good friend Lisa.
Oh,
good friend Lisa.
how the tides
and it's going to
turned.
be me and Lisa. It's going to be me and Lisa versus you two fuckers.
Okay.
And she's not going to be very happy with either of you guys.
We're young and spry, lower middle age.
You're as Jay was at the chiropractor the other day, like crying at how much pain.
Dude, I'm just staying young, man. I gotta,
gotta stretch. As long as I can still touch my toes, I'm good to go.
But there's all sorts of fun shit that's going to be there. But there's a lot of really informative stuff that's going to be there. And like I said, it's going to be like a really, really good time. I mean, cannabis is a star. We're celebrating it. We're going to have fun doing it. We got like, the
And
show goes, you know,
educational,
for 3
like
days.
for the newbies and stuff
Totally.
like that. I'm sure certain people, I mean, I've been smoking for most of my life, and there's still, I'm still learning, the different types of like TH,
Yeah,
like
the terpenes
It's
and the
really just a
cannabinoids
matter,
and
you can keep drilling down on that shit forever, I mean, and they're like, one of my favorite like developments of all of this, I'm originally from northern Vermont, and they have it's all like home grow up there, so like their retail space hasn't really started yet, but you're allowed to have like up to, I think it's 5 flowering plants per adult in the household.
Nice.
And some of my friends who weren't even like weed guys back in the day, they were they were like the science guys, now grow weed, and like it's more of like,
but they can't sell it.
No, but they can give it to their friends from high school. So it literally, these guys, like my buddy smokes a small bowl once a week, maybe. And meanwhile, he's got like a hydroponic setup in his basement and is like making these baseball sized nugs of plants that just like, you can throw them and they stick to the wall type of shit.
Yeah.
And it just, because he's a science nerd. And
he's like, I want to create this. Yeah.
And every time you go home, they have more weed than they can possibly ever, smoke. So it's like, here, take this ball jar, like, or hey, I have a bunch of trim. Do you want you can make edibles? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. He hands me a duffel bag of like 7 pounds of trim. And you're like, dude, I mean, like, what do I do with this?
6 ounces, Jay. 6 ounces of trim.
I'm not bringing any trim to 420. Although I will say,
and if Jay, being able to one of Jay's edibles,
being able to write off a cannabis purchase as a business expense, something brand new for me.
That's pretty fun. I used to love it when I would write off shoes and makeup. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
you can't write off cannabis.
No, I'm writing it off, Dan.
You can't. It's
no,
federally
too late. I already
can't do it.
I already did.
I already did.
Jay makes his own rules.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Jay makes his own rules.
Yeah, no. Habitual line stepper.
Habitual line stepper. What do you guys think? Because they're starting to look at like mushrooms and some psychedelics for the medical purposes as well, which have always been Jay.
they said they're actually using like mushrooms, and studies are showing to cure alcoholism. So Jay,
it actually supposed to help with like quit smoking and stuff like that. Yeah, it can actually help with a lot of stuff.
Listen, we could do a whole nother episode on hallucinogens. I love them. I believe in them. I think that like they've made me into the person that I am today. I don't think it's something that you do every day or every week.
Absolutely not.
Month even times. But honestly, like as a grown-ass 44-year-old young middle-aged man, I still believe that doing hallucinogens at least once a year is a reset that I would not want to do.
How does your reasoning work here?
Because at the end of the day, Dan, you live your whole life 365 days a year looking through the same lens, always, right? I mean, whether you're tired or upset or happy or sad or whatever, but you're always looking through your own personal lens. When you do, whether it be mushrooms or LSD or, any type of hallucinogen, it takes you outside of that lens. It gives you a totally different viewpoint, whether you're looking, from outside in or just a different perspective. And it's a blast while you're doing it. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're still, when you're even after that trip, like, days and weeks later, I feel like it gives you a different perspective that you would never, ever have in any other way.
Yeah, I prefer it. I prefer microdosing. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, my perspective of hallucinogens was going to Washington Square Park, buying a Doonesbury stamp, putting it on my tongue, and then running from giant balls of twine coming at me. Which may or may not, as I sobered up, been cars.
Don't get me wrong. Like there's some shit that can go sideways doing all of this stuff. But but the and you were about to say microdosing. Absolutely. And it's whether I like to take mushrooms and put them through like a grinder and then just capsulate them.
Yep.
And you can take like a third of a gram or whatever, even less. And honestly, it's more like drinking a strong cup of coffee. And it kind of, in a lot of ways, can lock you into like whatever you're doing. It gives you a certain amount of focus. It gives you a certain amount of like get up and go. And at the end of the day, it's a mushroom. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not taking Ritalin, you're not doing,
like you find it in the fucking ground.
Exactly. And so I have a good friend of ours who actually, what?
Nothing.
I have a good friend of ours who lives down in Florida and forages for mushrooms. And every year for Christmas, she'll send like a little jar of like her, her yearly findings or whatever. And, I think that it's no big surprise to me, just like how 10 years ago they were starting to really find out that cannabis had, an overwhelmingly positive medical effect on folks.
Well, I mean, they always kind of knew. They just didn't want to legalize it because they couldn't really make money from it.
Exactly. Or it took away from the money that they were being able to manufacture. And, So, but like I expect to see in the near future, psychedelics and mainly mushrooms kind of move into more of the mainstream aspect.
Yeah, part of the cannabis law, reform in Jersey, I think included hallucinogens and
like certain ones, I'm sure, especially like mushrooms. I like DMT. I have a DMT vape pen.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
That I'm not mad at.
I've never done the DMT vape pen. Does it hit you hard, or is it like just a matter of like kind of what you pull out of it?
Yeah, it's kind of like if you puff on it enough, like you're not going to have like the breakthrough, that you do with the crystals, but it is really nice. Like I'm a big fan of it. I prefer microdosing. With mushrooms, like depression and stuff like that. I can't take antidepressants because they make me more sad. They make me sadder. I'm like, I've never wanted to kill myself more than when I'm on antidepressants. I'm like, I don't need help in this department, doc. So I started just microdosing, and the thing is, it's like 2 days on, 1 day off. And like Jay said, it is like a cup of coffee, or maybe even like depending on the type of mushroom, like maybe you had like 2 drinks, but you're happy. It's like this euphoric phase where you're able to work. I'm able to like function and like be social and do stuff, and it's not like you're tripping or you're high. It really does just like it helps so much more. Do you guys think that like you guys would have like maybe a mushroom convention if it like at the time?
I think it'd be incorporated into 420,
or
if
the
it's like
421.
The thing is with this,
go ahead.
Yeah, with this show is that we cast such a big net out there, like with Exotica too. Like with Exotica, we're not just trying to cater to the hardcore porn fans, because if we did that, these buildings would be like relatively empty when we're doing it. We're going for the masses. We're buying billboards. For 420 Expo. I mean, in Jersey, in the area, you can't drive down the New Jersey Turnpike right now without seeing like a half dozen billboards, depending on how far you're driving, or anywhere. We have like something like, I think we're up to like almost like 30 billboards right now.
Our billboard dick is huge.
It is. We're swinging that shit, and we're running ads on a bunch of radio stations. And the same thing when we do Exotica. We're going to the mainstream. So like while we're going with the the hardcore cannabis people and those people, we're going with the Canna Curious too, and we just want to get those people that are just rediscovering it and getting it there. And like with the mushrooms, I mean, look, if it's legal, of course we can. Like again, like we said, it's like like I tell my kids are older, right? I mean, and I'm giving them the story, and instead of like this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs, instead of doing that stupid ass shit, I'm like trying to explain to them and like. Like, hey, you know what? Like, I have my medical card. It's helped me do this. I don't want you buying shit off the street. I don't want you smoking shit that you just find there. When you're 21, go to a fucking dispensary, get some legit shit or whatever.
Imagine that education over scare tactics. Like, can what's like, this country going to? Like,
I just got my girlfriend's like, very, straight like laced.
No, Dan, we don't know. Explain to us how your girlfriend is. So just for the record,
she's very, but let's
just lay this all out here. We'll put it.
Don't slam on my girlfriend here because your wife gives you the same shit.
I like that you're prefacing this. That was the.
No, but I mean, she's like, I've gotten her
like...
used to the thing that, like, I've told her, like, I want to remove the stigma, from this thing, and that's the number one thing is like, it is legal. It's the same thing as you going over to the liquor store, buying your 6-pack or whatever the fuck you buy them of Trulies or White Claws or whatever the fuck it is, or Bellinis or
White Girl Wasted.
Yeah, or any of that stuff, or or going to a restaurant and ordering a martini. Like I'm buying this legally. I'm legally, even when it was just a medical card, I'm procuring this legally. I'm not getting stoned and stupid. Well,
who cares if you are? But
it's like, again, it's totally legal. So I don't know if I could really get her like, hey, I'm gonna microdose on some psychedelic mushrooms or whatever. Here. I don't think I'll be able to get. I don't think I'll be able to turn that corner.
My wife and I are on a strict don't ask, don't tell policy.
That's kind of like my stepdad and my mom. Like he's very like anti-drugs, but we'll drink all day long. And I'm like, all right, you don't understand.
And that's the thing.
That's the divide. Alcohol is a crazy divide to this thing, and it really blows my mind that people can go out. We had this conversation about a couple of years ago with my wife, like in the summertime we're sitting out by the pool and have people over, and I said when it legalizes, like people will just be out here smoking joints. She's like, they can't do that. I'm like, they're binge drinking all day long and acting like fucking idiots. Like and you're concerned that they're going to smoke a joint. Like
they'll be the cleanup will be so much easier.
Yeah, where's the logic in that? Like,
I haven't gotten to the point where I'm sitting and lighting up outside with my family or with my 17-year-old or 20-year-old sitting out there. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but the conversation started at least. And like one of the big like goals of 420 Expo is to remove that stigma and say, what, for our entire lives, we've been conditioned, and look, I fall trap to it sometimes too, of being like, that this is illegal and this is bad and you can't do this or that and that, but you know what, now you can. And guess what? We have an attorney that, is specializes in cannabis law, who's, guided us along the way and, and answered the questions or asked the questions that we've had, to the powers that be. We know what we're doing is 100% legal, above board. And again, the big goal with this show is, look, have fun. Everybody have fun. Obviously, fucking make money because we're
obviously learn a little something.
But learn and remove that stigma and make it. And we spent 47 shows of Exotica and 16, 17 years of fighting the fights, and with whether it be advertisers or the media or just general
crazy religious groups.
Oh
yeah,
like good old Westboro Baptist Church.
Sex is good. We actually had a billboard one time that said even your parents had sex once. We also had a billboard that said Nicolas Cage.
Obviously, that's how you're here, buddy.
But it's really interesting, and it's just so much about kind of the educational process of it, and education doesn't have to be like sleepingly boring. It just needs to be an open, honest conversation about what this stuff is. And we've done that for 16, 17 years with Exotica. It's interesting to bring this into, bring that kind of aspect into this world, or into this, industry and community. But at the end of the day, I think that, education is key, man. We've seen what's happened in the last 10 years in this country as our educational system slides. And, it's terrifying. So, being able to have those, open and honest conversations about, something that's, at the end of the day, legal, and it's a plant and it's from the earth, and it's, it's wild that has to be done, but
that's taken this long as well, because they banned hemp like how long ago, and hemp can be used for everything, paper, clothes, like it's way better than killing off all our trees.
But back then you didn't have any competition to the cotton industry, and so now all of a sudden, guess by the way, who got hemp banned? the cotton industry, so it's like,
shocker.
welcome to
And by the
like
way,
capitalism.
we don't have to worry about
101.
trees anymore because now we can use paper instead of plastic. So
Yeah. It's all about
the
the
trees are good
straw.
again. So
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was awesome.
Listen,
Exotica-
anytime you want to talk about drugs, I'm in.
Yeah, that's super. So
just put some
Exotica
headphones on and it'll be good.
Yeah.
will be good. Exotica is going to be this weekend. Actually,
Nope.
this episode,
420 Expo.
the 420. So did I say Exotica?
Yeah. So condition.
Exotica
Don't worry. Exotica is next month. Yeah.
Exotica
420
is
Expo.
the 420 Expo is next. Well, actually, this weekend because this episode comes out on the 15th. So tomorrow, Friday the 16th, 17th, and the 18th in Edison, New Jersey. You can follow them on Instagram, right? What is the Instagram handle again?
The 420 Expo. Pretty much everything. All of our social media is the 420 Expo, and the website is 420expo.com.
Yes.
But people could also come that are catching this later to Exotica in New Jersey, October 21st through 23rd. And we'll be in the DC area with Exotica December 2nd through 4th, I think.
I haven't gotten that far, but yeah, we'll be
right around there, or third through 5th, somewhere in that part.
If we survive light years away.
If we survive this weekend, which we will. Because it is not a gateway drug, and you can't.
Yeah, it's weed. I mean, you guys will just be a little stoned.
Which is like it's like a normal Tuesday for us. So
a little stoned and a little fatter from all the good food trucks and munchies that we have at the show.
That's true.
I am excited.
And I'm getting high with Tommy Chong.
Yeah, I'm good. Me too.
I want to get high with Tommy.
Yeah, I think.
All right, you guys. Well, you can find this wonderful podcast on all podcast platforms: iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. You can find me, the Aaliyah Janine, on Twitter, Aaliyah.Janine on Instagram, and obviously follow the podcast at How to Do Drugs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Okay. Bye.
Yay.